Good morning, students, and welcome to our English class. I hope you're all taking good care of yourselves. So, without much ado, let us begin with our class. Students, if there is one thing that will never go out of fashion, it is good manners. We live in a world where our social interactions are becoming more and more casual, and sometimes we forget the thin line between friendliness and formality. We will be looking at an essay on this very topic written by Alfred Gardiner, who was a British journalist and essayist. The essay is titled On Saying Please. In this essay, he points to the value of good manners in social life and emphasizes the importance of courtesy and politeness in daily behavior. He shows how polite speech and courtesy can sweeten the atmosphere, and also how discourtesy and bad manners can spoil or pollute it. On saying please, the young liftman in a city office who threw a passenger out of his lift the other morning and was fined for the offence was undoubtedly in the wrong. It was a question of please. So there was this young liftman or lift operator who threw a passenger out of his lift. The writer says he was undoubtedly in the wrong, which means he was wrong without a doubt. He should not have thrown the passenger out of the lift. It was a question of please. The complainant entering the lift said, "Stop." The liftman demanded, "Stop, please." And this concession being refused, he not only declined to comply with the instruction but hurled the passenger out of the lift. So here the passenger is the complainant. He is the one who made a complaint about the young liftman for throwing him out of the lift. This, of course, was carrying a comment on manner too far. To carry something too far is to make a very big issue out of a small matter. So the essay begins with the description of an incident which we normally witness in our day-to-day lives. A liftman or lift operator had to pay a fine for throwing a person out of his lift. What was the reason? A man had entered the lift and said "stop," indicating that he wanted to go to the top floor. And the liftman insisted that he say "stop, please." So it was a question of please. And when the man or the passenger refused to say please, the liftman felt insulted and he threw that passenger out. The essayist agrees that it was probably an extreme reaction from the liftman. As the essay continues, the writer says, discourtesy is not a legal offence, and it does not excuse assault and battery. By discourtesy, we mean disrespect or rude behavior. It is not legally a crime. So, there is no excuse for violently attacking a rude person. The essayist further gives another example. He says, if a burglar breaks into my house and I knock him down, the law will acquit me. And if I am physically assaulted, it will permit me to retaliate with reasonable violence. That means, if I knock down, that is hit, a burglar, the law will acquit me. That means the law will not hold me guilty. Further, if someone assaults or hits me, the law allows me to hit back or retaliate in violence. Why this difference? I cannot hit a person if he is rude to me, but I can hit him if he tries to harm me or my property. The law does this. The law has this difference because the burglar and my assailant, that is, the person who assaulted me, have broken quite definite or specific commands of the law. The law does not allow anyone to rob my house or hit me. But no legal system could attempt to legislate against bad manners or could sanction the use of violence against something which it does not itself recognize as a legally punishable offense. The law does not recognize rudeness or discourtesy as an offense. Therefore, there is no law or punishment against it. And coming back to our liftman or lift operator and our sympathy with the liftman, we must admit that the law is reasonable. We have to admit that the law was right in punishing the liftman with a fine for throwing the rude passenger out. It would never do if we were at liberty to box people's ears because we did not like their behavior, or the tone of their voices, or the scowl on their faces. Our fists would never be idle, and the gutters of the city would run with blood all day. There's so much rudeness around that the fighting would never stop. I may be as uncivil as I may please, and the law will protect me against violent retaliation. I may be haughty or boorish. Boorish means uncivil or rude. And there is no penalty to pay except the penalty of being written down an ill-mannered fellow. In short, apart from being called an ill-mannered person, a rude man need not worry about being punished by law. The law does not compel me to say please or to attune my voice to other people's sensibilities any more than it says that I shall not wax my moustache or dye my hair or wear ringlets down my back. It does not recognize the laceration of our feelings as a case for compensation. There is no allowance for moral and intellectual damages in these matters. No law forces one to say please or take care of hurting people's feelings. Laceration of feelings, the poet says. In the same way in which it does not tell me whether I should dye my hair or whether or not I can wear certain clothes. You cannot demand any compensation from the person who hurts your feelings.